Wow, what a beautiful group of women. Right. You guys look so good out there. Again, I'm Sharon Lavelle, and I'm here to introduce a personal friend of mine, the person you're all waiting to hear from. Her name is Alveda C. King. She's a dear friend and a Christian I can't say the word today, evangelical. And I am not kidding when I say that she is a Christian. Alveda and I will be working on projects, and all of a sudden, she will say, "Hold on, let's pray about this," in the middle of our conversation.
All the time.
And after she prays, you just can feel that God is in the middle of the project. And somehow what seemed like an incredibly huge project just gets reduced to size and you get it done. She is also President Trump's #1 prayer warrior. And he oftentimes summons her to the White House for prayers. Like her daddy, A.D. King, and her uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King, Alveda is a civil rights activist. She is a guardian to the King legacy. I had the opportunity to walk through the home of Martin Luther King and Alveda's aunt, Coretta King. And I was with Alveda and with Secretary Ben Carlson. The details that Alveda gave that day about what would happen in that home when he was alive and through the civil rights struggle was incredible. I wish everyone here could have heard the stories that she told. But what it did for me, it gave me a clear understanding of why Alveda is a strong national leader and known to the world. Alveda is also a blogger, an author, an educator, a singer, a songwriter, and an actress. Some of her writings are America Return to God, King Truths, King Legacy, Let Freedom Ring, King Rules. You can actually buy it today. And there's many other books that she has authored. Alveda is also a Fox News contributor and a radio and television personality. She is a former Georgia state legislator and is the director of civil rights for the unborn for Priests for Life. She's a devoted mother and a grandmother. And if that's not enough, Alveda serves as an advisory board member for Women for Trump, Black Voices for Trump, and Evangelicals for Trump. Put your hands together and please welcome my friend, Alveda King.
Secret number 1, and I was raised by preachers. My daddy, A.D. King, Uncle Martin Luther King, Daddy King, I'm an evangelist. And so in the old Baptist tradition, they'd be preaching and not getting anywhere, and then all of a sudden, I feel my help coming on. And the help comes from the Lord, so Ginger can tell you. Sharon, that's really true. We can be in the middle. I say, wait a minute, let's pray. And it doesn't matter. We just do it in the middle of a sentence. So that is a secret that I share with these 3 ladies. I first want to thank Claire. Sharon, that was great. Ginger and I, National Committee women, doing a book together. We're not colorblind. If you're colorblind, you need glasses. And Ginger and I would talk about that. Jesus gives sight to the blind. So to say God doesn't see color, well, how do we get red roses, yellow roses, pink roses? You see what I mean? So not colorblind, but you celebrate it, not fight over it. Because skin color doesn't define us. President Trump says we all bleed the same. That's how I knew he wasn't a racist. Anybody that says we all bleed the same. Acts 17:26, of one blood God made all people. So So then you know they're not separate races, so you're not a racist. That's kind of science and philosophy and religion, okay? So that's secret number one. I want to show a video, and then I really do have some serious remarks. But I think this is the one with President Trump in it. And so people, you just kind of see the relationship. I do pray with the president. People say, what do you do for the president? I say, I pray for the president. And that's all I do, really. Did it? Okay.
If my people could understand that we live in a world that's in need of a change, then my people could lift up their hands, 'cause we live in a world that just needs us to pray. People are trying to change the world. What about changing our mind? It's time to stand for life. Pray for America. Pray for America. Our unborn children, their lives are in our hands. Pray for our people. Pray for our nation. Pray for peace and love throughout the land. Whoa, yeah. If my people could understand how to humble themselves and change their ways, then my people could lift up their hands, 'cause we live in a world where our children can stay. People are trying to change the world. What about changing our minds? It's time to stand for life. Pray for America. Pray for America. Our unborn children, their lives are in our hands. Pray for our people. Pray for our nation. Pray for peace and love throughout the Pray for America. Pray for America. Our unborn children, their lives are in our hands. Pray for our people. Pray for our nation. Pray for peace and love throughout the land. Pray for America. Pray for America. Our unborn children, their lives are in our hands. Pray for our people. Pray for our nation. Pray for peace and love throughout the land.
worth 1,000 words, and you add music to it, and that's really something. I've got a few points I'm going to give and stay within the time frame. But the first thing I want to say has not much to do with politics, so bear with me. This is Women's History Month, and I just want to tell you just a few of my favorite women. Certainly Amelia Earhart, I have always admired.
Are you tired of the media spinning the truth?
Yes, I am tired of the media spinning the truth. I really am. Yes, I am. Ooh, Lord, I am.
Yeah, I thought the Holy Spirit was there.
All right, here we go. But anyway, just the bravery and taking that flight and all of that. And then there's another one, and you may not have heard of her. Catherine Janeway is a Star Trek starship captain. And she did a really good job in that series as a captain. So those are just some ladies that I have personally admired. Susan B. Anthony, a genuine feminist, but for life and family and God and all of that. And then Harriet Tubman. So those are just some of my favorite women during History Month. And people say, well, what women do you admire? I just wanted to share that. And I'll give 2 examples right now. Sharon Lavelle and Harriet Tubman. Because women, we as women, and every woman in this room fits in this category one way or the other, we manage things. The first thing we need to manage is ourselves. You know, manage me first. And once I get me together, then we manage our homes. And that could be if you're married or something like that, not married. You live by yourself, manage your own home and your own life. And then your relationships. And then your community. And the reason I mentioned Sharon, her husband Bruce, if I call them on Friday after 5 o'clock, they do not answer the phone. Because guess where they go? Day, night. They just do that. And I admire that they find that kind of time for their own relationship. I don't have, I'm not married, unfortunately divorced, and a lot of people are. And I won't go into that today and my abortions and all those kind of things that happened during my life. But I have found the Lord fully. And that's why I so joyfully pray anytime and all the time. And so just keeping it together as a woman, no matter what your life is like, sickness, poverty, disease, rich, family, no family, we could go on and on. It's different. So that's going to be very important as women to keep doing that this time. And we don't need those slim margins of elections where we're losing. We must win. We have to win. We are winners. And that committee woman is going to be very important. And we have to do that. Ginger and I have a book, We're Not Colorblind. And boy, did we go to an experience getting that written. And maybe I can't say it this way. And what should I say about that? And how do we do this? And how do we do that? So we got to know each other more and became very fast friends. And so that's very important, relationships and friendships. We're not defined by skin color anyway. It's the color of our blood. So if we can remember that, or how young we are, or how old. I was telling people the other day, I'm a dinosaur now. I headed towards my 70th birthday. And they'll say, well, no, you're not a dinosaur. Yes, I am, but I like being a dinosaur. It means I can breathe. I'm still breathing. So go after the millennials. I want to ask every woman in this room, you're already doing it. You are mentoring women. We all do that. Sponsor a young millennial woman to join your group. Sponsor her. I'm a mentor to my goddaughter, Bria Edwards here. I have a lot of godchildren. I have biological children and then godchildren. And Bria comes with me. She works for my daughter, but she comes with me. She's a media specialist. Her degree is in communications. And so I sponsor her and bring her along. I did that with my goddaughter, Angela Stanton King. Sponsor millennials. Now, we need to get straight. A millennial was born in the 1980s or the 1990s or the first part of this century. Now, the newer, the babies, because I've got some little crystal, I call it ZBs, Generation Z. That's another group. They're not millennials. So millennials have jobs. Millennials need to understand. Everybody who's running for office and said they're going to give you something free, no, they're not. They're going to take your tax dollars the minute you get your job. So it's not free. Millennials like Bernie and all that stuff, Bloomberg, because, they're going to give us everything. No, they're not. They're going to get it from you and give it back to you. What kind of president is that? They call that re-gifting. I get it. Yeah. Oh, God. No. Who? Now, can a Democrat vote for a Republican? Yes. Let me tell you why. Now, we're real good on vote your values. How many in here vote your values? Because I do. And we vote our principles. But it's not bad to say to everybody, vote your interest. That's a term that we're not using. Values and principles, we can stand on them, and we should. But vote for what's good for you. What is your interest? The mutual interest, and everybody can vote for? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. What is happiness? Life. Healthy families, safe homes, good education, economic freedom. Promises kept, promises made, promises kept. So get that language like that. Stop fussing with people about whether they're Democrat or Republican. Say, why don't you just vote your interest? That takes the argument out of it. You see? So we can certainly do that. I did mean to say this at the top. You mentioned Barry Loudermilk. He's a really good friend for a lot of reasons. And just a man of incredible integrity. My God. And so when you mentioned him, and I thought about it when you said, when you get up to introduce yourself as a politician, someone elected or a candidate, no speeches, they can't help it. They cannot help it. Remember that. They can't. It's like telling the preacher, don't quote the Bible. You understand? So I was over there just laughing. It's okay. But we need to do a good job. And I was looking at Jan. Jan Horn is a good friend of mine, and she's videoing this. She's an incredible videographer. But if we do not record what we're doing ourselves, if we do not take these links and push them out into social media, people won't know. My uncle, Martin Luther King Jr., a long time ago, we were marching. I marched. My first march was in '63. I was 12 years old, the Children's March in Birmingham, Alabama. I was a youth organizer in those days for fair housing. So I did that. But my uncle, during his lifetime, Martin Luther King Jr., my daddy is his brother, A.D. King, and that is the King birth home down on Auburn Avenue, where they lived when they were children. I actually lived there when my parents got married. They had the home for a while with their first home in their marriage. But when he said that if we don't let somebody know what's happening to us, the world would never know. And so we had to get it out through word of mouth. Back then there was no social media, through churches and all those kind of things, just getting the information out. We really have an obligation to do social media, folks, because that's the only way they're going to find out what we're doing. So we have to do that. And so I believe that as women, and I'm glad the men are here as well, male, female, bond or free, we are human beings, one blood. We do this together. There's no need to compete because we all have special skills and abilities, all of us. And we talk about, Sharon and Bruce and I talk about this sometimes, so-and-so does it that way, so-and-so says it that way. This is the way I say it. My point is just say it. And without criticizing others. I am a Republican, I'm a Frederick Douglass Republican, and I enjoy that. And I work very hard for that. But everybody can vote their interest. Each woman, each man in here is a leader. We are all leaders. So we're going to have to work very hard to continue to do our part. We don't have to worry about if it's enough. Because that's, in the first place, sometimes people, from fear, I can't do that because it won't work. Or people won't like it, or it won't have the ability, so they never do it. But the moment each of us steps out and does our part, and we all put that together, we win. So we're winners, you're winners, and I'm glad to be here with you today to bring this message. I hope you really did enjoy the video, because when people ask, what does Alveda do for President Trump? She prays for him. That's exactly it, and each of you can do that as well. And if I want to leave two takeaways, first, pray. The second one, every woman in this room sponsor and mentor a millennial. And I guess the third thing, make sure you vote. Oh my God, that's important. So thank you very much. I'm going to give the mic back to you so you can do the questions and answers. And those won't be just for me. I can answer some questions, but you may have some questions for the group. that only you can answer. And if there's somebody here who's actually not a member today, and they might want to know how and all that kind of thing. Here we go, but I'll stay up in case they have one for me too.
If you raise your hand, if you have a question for Dr. King, Betty Price?
Thank you, and thank you for being an inspiration to us. I've heard you before, and
Thank
couldn't
you.
wait to come back and hear you again today.
Thank you.
Question, in our town, we have a group called the Groveway Community, which is historically African American. And I was recently surprised when they said to me that they were all Republicans before Obama came on the scene. How can we get them back into the fold since they left us and went to the Obama Democrats 8 years ago?
Well, you had the exodus happened twice. Certainly when President Obama ran, and that's understandable. People not understanding, thinking that skin color was going to do something that only God could do, so you could get that. But before that, when President Kennedy was running for President of the United States, and you had Nixon and Kennedy, and so my uncle at that time, the world was just fighting over all that racism, segregation, and everything. Martin Luther King ended up in jail. Coretta was pregnant. His wife was pregnant. And so she was distraught. She called my granddaddy, Dad, Dad. And granddaddy began to call around to the politicians. And he said, I have a suitcase of votes. He was a Republican at the time. And he said, I have a suitcase of votes and I'm going to give to whoever gets my son out of jail. Believe it or not, President Nixon, who had said some harsh things and was kind of supporting Planned Parenthood and all of that, but he said, yeah, well, maybe we should do something because it's going to tear the country up if we don't and all that. His advisor said, no, you can't do anything. President Kennedy says, no. Well, Kennedy, we don't need to be involved in that. And his brother, Bobby, says, yes, we have to. So Kennedy made a call and helped get Martin Luther King out of jail. So there was an exodus into the Democratic Party from the black community at that time. You can go back through the history books and see that. Now, over a period of time, we had a resurgence with Daddy Bush and different kinds of things, and K. Coles James and J.C. Watts and African-American conservatives like that went back into the Republican Party. In the late 90s, I came out of the Democrat Party. I was elected to the state legislature during a time in history that the Georgia legislature was racist and sexist. Believe me, they were just terrible. But guess what they called me? Miss Alveda. And I was just friends with everybody with a smile and the love of God. So two things happened during that period. And Andrew Young, who was my mentor, will tell you that the most important bill that State Representative Alveda King of the 28th House District passed was turning right on red. But I did introduce that. No, I really did. It's still in there. But guess how that happened? I was driving over to the state house, to the Capitol, and I was tired and I kept getting stuck at lights. And I said, why is this here? We should be able to turn right on red. Nobody's coming. I'll go into the legislative council. Write me a bill right now. We can turn right on red. And you can even turn left if it's one way. And it passed because it was too logical. I did do some fetal alcohol syndrome and drugs when you're pregnant, all that. A lot of other things I did. So then, to tell you how sexist they were, and Congressman Dick Lane, I don't know if he's still living, but we laughed about it after that. So I was like, Mr. Speaker, Tom Murphy, who was a racist, he really was, but we were friends. We were really good friends. Mr. Speaker, yes, lady from the 28th House, how may I help you? I said, Mr. Speaker, is it not true that we need counseling in these situations of domestic violence, not just for the ones who are being hit, but the ones who are hitting in the I'm crying and all this. And women are being hit upside the head, Mr. Speaker. So then Dick Lane gets up. Mr. Speaker, yes, gentleman from the, I forget, is it not true that women need to be hit upside the head sometimes? The bill, needless to say, passed unanimously because the guys had to go back home, right? So it really did pass. So those are the things. And then with the King Holiday Bill, this is serious. There are pictures to document this and all this. Hosea Williams gets credit for the King Holiday Bill passing in Georgia, but I was the second signer. We were co-signers. And so Benjamin Mays, who was the president emeritus of Morehouse College, my granddaddy, Daddy King, Coretta King, everybody went down to talk to Mr. Speaker about getting that bill out of committee. They would not let that bill out of committee. So my colleagues, they would go, they had spittoons back there. Does anybody remember that? Is old enough to remember they had spittoons in the house? And the guys chewed tobacco. If the ladies did it, they went in the bathroom. I don't know if they did it or not. But the guys had the spittoons. So they would go by and spit tobacco in the spittoons. So they took the King bill, balled it up, dropped it in the spittoon and spit tobacco on it. So needless to say, I was a lot younger, more fiery, was very beautiful when I was young. And I could cry at the drop of a hat, sincerely, not for fake. Mr. Speaker! So I'm crying, I go in his office. And Curtis, what was Curtis' name? He was real close. He worked, kept the guard, the door and all that. Miss Alveda, yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. If you stop crying, I'll just let it out of committee. The bill came out of committee and it passed. Now that's the truth. So I said I was going to write about these things. So how do you get African Americans to come back? There again, you're not necessarily going to get anybody to come back Democrat, Republican. You have to be a Democrat, you have to be a Republican. But I wrote down, I said, this is America, we're free to vote our interest. So just say, vote your interest. Vote your interest. And then the rest will happen. I am a Republican, absolutely. But I just tell people right now, vote your interest. Vote for life. Better economy, safe house, safe homes, good education. Just vote your interest. Okay. That took a long time.
Okay, Janelle King, no relation.
Hi, Janelle. Hey.
My question is about abortion. So I talk to a lot of young girls, and that's something that's really passionate to me as well, is pro-life and abortion rights, all that stuff. What is the best advice you can give when talking to young minority women who are in the low-income communities as to why they should keep their babies when it looks like the best option is to have an abortion?
My goddaughter, Angela Stanton King, who just received a pardon from the president, called me this morning. She said, "Ma, yeah, babe, what you got?" Somebody just texted me. She's pregnant. She's a Democrat. She's pro-choice. She was getting ready to make a difficult decision, but she keeps reading my Instagram. And she contacted me, I called her, I gave her the name of a pregnancy care center that was out in California. And the young lady said, well, he's not acting right, this, that, and the other, but I think I can do this. So when women really do need love, not abortions. And that's just the truth. I always ask this question, because I don't really hate Margaret Sanger. She's, of course, passed away now. But who hurt Margaret Sanger? What made her, what formed her in such a way that she felt like she had to do all that? So now over 60 million babies are dead. I had abortions myself. But I did them in secret, didn't tell anybody, didn't seek support. And then I have 6 living children, because for each one of them, I did tell somebody. I did seek support, and I had the support. My body was hurt from the abortions. A lot of women suffer sickness and stuff. Abortion's not safe. The only thing about safe, legal, and rare is legal. It's not rare, and it's not safe. So just, most of the time, women actually are intelligent, whether we're rich, poor, no matter what color we are or whatever, we are intelligent. So if we get real information, because I won't ask you to raise your hand, but all of us, how many of us heard, I had that abortion, but they lied. It wasn't like they said it was gonna be. And more we're finding that. So the more information and truth we have, the better decisions we can make. All right? Okay, thank you.
Dr. King, she is a Georgia peach and a Georgia treasure.
All right. Thank you.
Y'all know, our tradition is to ask, we don't give gifts, but we ask our speakers, please sign a book that we donate to The elementary school down, actually in Sandy Springs is Title I school, and they're conservative leaning 10 elementary level books. Alveda has done that for us already, so I wanted to get her a little something, she and Sharon, a little something else. So we got a little bracelet for you.
Thank you. I like
And
bracelets.
inside the bracelet, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact words, but it says, whenever you are overwhelmed, remember whose you are and straighten your crown.
Woo! I love it.